Welcome to my channel. In this video I will show you my books and pictures with fantasy designs, all those witches, elves, magical creatures, magical realms. And well, let's start from this tiny book. If you follow my channel, you know that I color it quite frequently, but I constantly complain about terrible paper quality. And usually I have here one good work, I feel inspired, and immediately I start another one, and paper ruins all my plans, and I barely manage to finish and to do something decent. That's my last finished work here, and this one I consider as a success, but the main reason is because here background is relatively small. There are a lot of tiny details, but with polychromases, with their sharp tips, I can color such pictures. What I can't color is those empty backgrounds. Even my markers, they totally don't help me. I try to do marker background, it looks awful. Because even blending close colors, I still manage to create ugly border between close colors. So even my markers don't want to work on this paper. Maybe I do something wrong, I don't know. Still, this one, it was okay. I was very happy when I finished this one, and even the background I managed to do with normal coverage with marker, maybe because I didn't have to blend. This one, unhappy stains on the sky, I had to mask with a little bit of white paint, so now my sky has clouds, but those dresses, they are really lovely. Oh, those lines. I have a lot of fun. Imagine coloring these girls, trying to imagine various styles of clothes for them. I usually try to use matching colors for outfits, but every time I think about background, it totally ruins my mood. You can see that I mostly do pictures where background isn't huge. On this one, I tried to save with everything, with acrylic paint on top, with sprinkling some paint on top of it, so every time it's like mission saves the background. Pictures where there are no empty background, they look much better, much clean, more vibrant. If this book has better paper, I am sure that I would already finish it, because designs are lovely, but well, because of the paper I decided that I won't purchase any more books, because in this series there are other lovely books by Usiku, and I enjoy watching other people coloring them, but definitely for me it's enough suffering. I remember how I tried to save this background, it was a nightmare. Now, even if these books printed on similar paper, also Amazon printed, I have much more pleasant experience when I decide to use markers, and so far C.Ortega is one of my favorite artists. For me, her books, they are amazingly beautiful. Of course, I would love to have them printed on better quality, similar like Christine Karen. That would be totally a masterpiece on the market. But well, even on this paper I can color images. I have volumes first, second and third. I need to check, maybe she already published more. I hope so. She's definitely one of the artists which I want to collect, to purchase everything. The biggest amount of finished pictures I have in the first volume. Still not many. Here this lovely girl. I love to do here dark backgrounds. Even on this paper, I think that skin tones look quite well. So it's very difficult to understand what is the difference between Amazon papers. Here markers work well, here pencils blend better comparing to previous book. And I'm very happy that in this book we have many interesting male characters. I definitely need to pay more attention to them. They are quite unique. And we don't have male characters in many books, so they can be very interesting to color. In this book I even used some pearl watercolors and paper allowed me to do so. That's markers, that's Arctics, and Arctics pencils also blend quite well on this paper. You know, when I just got this first volume, I hadn't started it for several months, maybe a year, because I was sure that paper as bad as in Tatiana Bagema or other Amazon printed books. But then when I gradually started to color in this one, I realized that no, I can do soft gradients with markers. That's normal gradient which I can achieve with markers without those ugly stains which I have in witches. So very decent paper, and I enjoy both Prismacolors, polychromoses. So when I select which brand to use, I mostly got inspiration from the picture. For example, gold and silver metal I prefer to do with Prismacolors. Some other elements and skin also I prefer to do with polychromos. I think that I even used different color softs, which are very demanding to the paper quality, but for some of the elements I used them. Well, unfortunately in second and third I have only a couple of finished pictures. I think 3 or 2 in the second volume, but it's lovely. I absolutely love how C.Ortega depicts faces and all beautiful outfits. Her outfits always are very spectacular. That's one of my favorite works. I think that I finished it for previous Halloween. I don't remember, but I remember that I wanted to color it not only because the girl is beautiful, but because of the flowers. I still don't remember their name in English, but they are extremely popular in Ukraine, probably the most popular flower. And I wanted to color them. I think that it was the main reason, but then I was attracted to her eyes. Now, when I look at it, I ask myself how I managed to color all those petals. Well, I love this one, honestly. And another one where I wanted to color something beautiful, slightly darker, gothic. It's markers plus Prismacolor pencils. And only one in the third volume. It's this couple of angel and demon. I was so nervous because first I did the couple, I loved them and I didn't know how to finish. But then marker and color is red-gray. It's very beautiful. Ohuhu marker family, and they did very nice background. Not flat, not just boring gray, but with this slightly reddish undertone. It was perfect. When I finished it, I was so happy that I remembered about those colors, those markers, and they complemented the main image very nice. Well, from books where I love all my finished pictures, we move to the book which I wanted for a long time, because I'm a huge fan of world of Tolkien, and of course I wanted a book inspired by this world, and it has mix of pictures by several artists. I love majority of them, but honestly, when I received it and when I touched paper, I was sure that, oh, it's such a decent paper, I will do such a lovely landscapes here. But well, then it was a huge surprise, which I discovered here, that on this paper we have this unhappy effect of ugly dots. I think that you are familiar with it. It happens quite often in coloring books. I tried to use gesso. It improved the look of my pages slightly, but it didn't help me with colored pencils. So after a couple of works where I struggled terribly. Good thing that I started from ugly creatures. All those trolls and similar orcs, they don't require very clean colors, so if they are ugly, it's understandable. But to achieve this background, I think that I put like 10 layers of paints, then pencils, then even distress inks, crayons, whatever I was able to put on the paper. I even ruined it a little bit. So I did this one. I did another ugly couple. Where are my trolls? Sorry guys. Here. I didn't want to do plain background. I wanted at least some gradient, and I used very close colors, various hues of green, and still it was difficult to achieve the effect which I wanted. So after a couple of pictures, I totally gave up. There are so many beautiful pictures here, but many of them are spreads. Size of the book is huge. Without paint, I can't color it. And only recently, when I did my third work here, I finally realized that I can color here, but instead of watercolors, I can try to use gouache paints and Inktense. That's how I did this background for Radagast. On this paper, pencils work well, and Radagast I did with budget pencils. There are Sucolors, there are Arctics, Arteza. They have very nice shades of all those dirty greens, interesting brown colors, so I use them here. So pencils are not a problem, any even budget pencils, but the backgrounds, for me it will be a good opportunity to use more frequently Inktense pencils and gouache paints. I hadn't tested yet Inktense pens, which I also own, and Graphite's pens. Maybe I will do such test for my next coloring. And from this one, we are moving to my very old books, which I still love, but which were totally neglected during this year. For those who still remember Jade Summer, she probably was the first one of those no-name books on the market where works by various artists were used under some mythical name. I have this Norse mythology, and it's also one of the books which I wanted. I love the theme of it, but when I started to color it, I very quickly realized that my skills, they are not equal to the level of this book. I need to learn better, and pictures which I did here, they are not bad, but at the same time I can't say that I am happy with any of them, especially when I ruined first part of the book trying ironing it. Well, I definitely will color it, but well, slightly later. Now I feel more confident to do the whole pictures with backgrounds, and even with paints I feel more confident. So one day I will color the Norse mythology. For now, when I want to color something in such quality, I mostly grab Goddesses by Coco Wyo. By Jade Summer I also have this one. Let me show you a couple of works here. they also have this strange style of collages, definitely not Art Nouveau, but still interesting. Very crowded, so you need to do your color planning carefully. And here I used everything, various types of markers, acrylic paint, various pencils. Paper isn't bad, just also not very thick and not suitable for water-soluble media. I have this one and very few works. This one I do love, and here I used gouache for background. I think that it's really created very good winter effect. That's probably my favorite in this book. But I also somewhere had that ice bird, which I want to find. Oh, I promised myself that I won't make this video very long, because all those works, they are old, they are not from this year. But even for myself, it's interesting to look back at my old works. It definitely gives me inspiration to do my old books, not only those which I got recently. So in Goddesses, let me show you very quickly. I started to do better pictures here when I started to do marker background. Main images, it was always fun to color with pencils, and it's possible to use almost all pencils. I even managed to use Arteza here, blend of Prismacolors and polychromoses, but backgrounds always were my problem. Finally, when I started to help myself with markers, pictures started to look better. It's still my favorite in all those Coco Wyo, Jade Summer books which I own. I even have bookmark for the page which I want to color next. But from Greek mythology, I somehow switched to part of Egypt. And in Egypt I did quite a good progress. Almost all goddesses are finished. This one I did with Black Widow pencils, and that was a catastrophe. Black Widow definitely are not for this paper. I was close to making a hole in this paper. In this beautiful part of Norse mythology, well, it has the smallest amount of finished pictures, because here I did background with pencils, and this I wouldn't recommend to anyone on this paper. This one with paint looks much better. Awful background, but lovely lady. And somewhere in the end I also have Carried Van, which I absolutely love. Mythology, gods and goddesses, it's one of my favorite themes, so of course I wanted to have this one. It's by Josh Lee, I believe, and it's very interesting style. I like it. I did my first page, and then I somehow discovered that part of my book is covered by yellow stains. It wasn't when I received the book, so it's not initial problem. It's not also a problem of markers. I definitely didn't use those lemon color markers, and I have such stains even on the pictures which are in front, so I don't know what cause this chemical reaction. But I think that now I'm over this first shock of those yellow stains, and honestly, under electric light, now we have such a problem with light that under my current lamp I don't see those stains. But I still admire the style, and definitely I will be coloring in this book. Here, yes, stains are more visible, but it's still a mystery for me how I managed to get it. Paper is very thin, almost transparent, and it's a shame to publish such a nice art on such quality. So I really wish that I had it on better paper. And next we have another series, it's CrookCrook. There were times when they were extremely popular and they created huge amount of those dark zodiac, dark creatures, dark animals, whatever. I have dark beauty, I have dark queens and king, which is my favorite, and dark fairy tales. In this one I have probably 2 pictures, and I love this one not because I am very eager to color all those bloody dark pictures, but because I can experiment with something unusual, like this unusual skin tone, where I wanted to show difference between alive and dead body, and also slightly different technique. I have several pencils by Tombow. They are very hard, not my favorite type of pencils to work on white paper, but they work very well when you need to add color accents on top of markers, and they help me to add these interesting color accents to my marker backgrounds. That's this one. Then dark queens and kings. You know that I love to color such kind of outfits, so that's why I was attracted to this book. That's all markers, and markers on this paper work very well. Another example where I don't understand those books printed by Amazon, but still paper feels slightly different. This paper I actually consider quite normal. Of course not great, it's still thin, but all pencils, markers work here quite well, so no complaints. For their price, quality is okay. Very dramatic works. And sadly that's all. I have also dark fairy tales. Here we have very simple backgrounds, quite simplified, so we can do it quickly with markers and then to concentrate on the main characters. Biggest amount of finished pictures I have in mermaid part. Couple of fairy tales I hadn't touched at all. So in mermaid I have this one. Well, maybe let's start from the beginning of the fairy tale, obviously. Here, the meeting. That's the most dramatic one. I really love how those red colors of potion and the blood, how they immediately attract attention of the viewer. She transforms back into mermaid, so I added those blue colors and scales near her sisters, and the moment of her death. Then couple of pictures for Beauty and the Beast, this one and this one. Then I have my old treasure, and it's Myth and Magic. I colored in it like 4 years, 5 years ago very frequently, and then I felt like I was a little bit tired of the amount of details. I again was not sure what style to select, maybe to try watercolors because paper is good, or maybe to continue working with pencils. And even now I want to color here, but I don't know which method, which style to select. But those pictures which I have here, I still admire them. And it has lovely designs. I absolutely love all art by Kinuka Craft, but they are not very easy to color because of the big amount of line art and very stylized pictures where I would love to do not like random choice of color, but to be inspired by original medieval art. So it also requires some careful thinking before you start to color if you want to do a decent work. But art is very beautiful. Those Renaissance, those medieval inspired pictures, I always love such style. So I consider this one as one of my treasures, but well, I don't have anything in this book to show you. It will be maybe another one which I will try to use at least once for the next year. Well, I hope that this video wasn't very chaotic, and well, I hope that you will join me for the next series.